Welcome to the Zen Run podcast, the new name for the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. Same host, same heart, just with a new, fresh look and feel. Each week, we dive into the real, raw, and often unexpected journeys of everyday runners. Because every runner has a story, and every story has the power to inspire. If you've got a running story of your own, whether you're just lacing up for the first time or you're deep into your ultra journey, I'd love to hear it. Sharing your experience might be just the thing that someone else needs to get out the door. And hey, if you're looking for a bit of motivation or just want to keep your running fun and stress-free, check out Zen Run. It's a relaxed space with guided runs, simple training plans and monthly challenges to help you stay consistent without the pressure. All right, let's jump into this week's story. It's a good one. Today's episode is a little different. It was recorded in two parts thanks to a tornado that knocked out the power at Rachel Pedersen's place mid-interview. But don't worry, we picked right back up with this conversation and it's pure gold. Rachel's a powerhouse entrepreneur, a mum of three and a self-taught runner with a story that is funny, honest and so relatable. We chat about movement, grief, routines, identity, and why she still doesn't call herself a runner. Let's dive in. Today on Zen Run, I am going to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Rachel Pedersen. Hello, Rachel.
Michelle, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm having a bit of a girl crush because I've known you for a long time. Like I've picked you up in the social media circles for a really long time. And we'll get into that why you're a bit famous in my world, even if a lot of people listening to you may not know, who listen to this podcast, may not know who you are.
That just means there's still so much like opportunity to reach more people. That's exactly what I hear.
That's true. That's true. It's like not everybody knows you. It's funny how you think that. You know, you put stuff on the internet and you think, why doesn't everybody know? Like they come up, you just normal people that you know will come up and say to you, oh, you did that, or you went. I'm like, yeah, I put it on Facebook. Why don't you know I did that? It's like,
yes, I'll never forget. Like we always feel like we've said everything multiple times. Like this is what I'm doing, or that's whatever, true. Or this is who I am, or here's what I offer. And when I first got into this industry and things started taking off, I remember I would tell my family, I'd be like, you guys, I'm speaking at an event with Gary Vaynerchuk. And they would all go, who? And I'd be like, no, this just ruined this whole moment. This was so exciting. But I've just gotten used to it.
Well, on a running podcast, Rachel, that's when you say when we have stories like, I did my first marathon, but when I explained to my friends that I was doing a marathon, they said, oh, is that like 5 kilometers? And that's kind of like that conversation. Like, yes. No idea what you're doing at all, or who these people are. Anyway, let's get started into your story because I'm really excited to learn more about you and be really nosy. So tell me where you grew up.
Beautiful. I grew up in Minnesota in the United States. It's like right on the border of Canada. And it's interesting. I've lived here my whole life, but we have really cold winters, tons of snow on the ground every year. And every single year I'm starting to say, why am I holding out for 3 months of sun? So I am rethinking everything as I'm staring at a huge storm out my window. But Minnesota, born, raised, and current.
So that's kind of a landlocked area in America?
100% landlocked, but we have 10,000 lakes in Minnesota. Oh, wow. So we have tons of lakes. And so like going to the beach is super normal here. And isn't that wild? Yeah. So it's a little different in the Midwest because we even have like famous lakes that celebrities and CEOs live on and have second homes on, Lake Minnetonka.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even know that. Like I've only been like a lot of people, California and Texas. been to Texas.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
haven't.
it's usually like California, Texas, New York. Those are
Yeah.
the three that everyone says, I've been there. Oh, and Florida. That's four. Yeah.
I need to come into the middle a bit more, like not just Texas, and because I need to go hiking and bushwalking, I think. So maybe I'll do that one
There are
day.
a lot of cornfields in the middle of the United States. So we're this weird, besides Chicago, like Illinois, Chicago, we're almost like a mini Chicago. And so we have a whole city, we have two cities, like the Twin Cities. And so we have like almost like it's almost like a mini New York. We have all the
Oh,
department stores and we have the Mall of America. Like
yeah.
there's a lot going on in just this one part of Minnesota, but all around us is like cornfield and farms and not even rolling hills, flat plains of corn. So it's interesting. We're like just plopped right in the kind of in the middle.
Wow, it is large. It's a very large country like Australia, and I've done a lot
Yep.
of driving around Australia, and so I know some of those really long stretches where
Yes.
the scenery outside doesn't change a lot. It just stays the
Yeah.
same.
You're like, do I smell cows?
I know what's going on.
Yep. For three states.
All right. So you grew up in Minnesota, you're still in
Mhm.
Minnesota. Tell me a little
Yeah,
bit about your childhood. Do you have siblings, brothers and
I
sisters?
do. So I am the oldest of three girls, and I know, and our
Oh,
our last name was Bell.
oh,
So we were always the Bell sisters, and
oh,
I'm the oldest. I'm 5 years older than my next sister, and
wow.
8 years older than my youngest sister. So I kind of grew up as like the mommy, and I was taking care of them quite a bit. My parents, I don't want to talk too much about
Yeah,
this, but like my parents, it was a really rough upbringing.
yeah,
I parents who were just kind of they had messy lives,
yeah.
and my dad was a pastor for a while, and he was in the Army Reserve, and then he became a nurse. So it was
Oh,
this
wow.
wild journey. My mom was a musician. It was not a normal like
Yeah,
upbringing on many different levels. I'll just be super honest
yeah.
about that. But it was a creative childhood, that's for sure. Like we were always creating plays and dances and forts that were so big. I can understand why my parents were mad now that we would destroy the basement with every single blanket from the whole house. And but there was a lot of magic in it with me and my sisters.
Oh, but it sounds delightful, even though at the same time, perhaps a little chaotic, which is, it's fun. It's what makes
Yeah,
us who we are, isn't it? Like
for sure.
how we grew up and everything that happens in our lives to
Mhm.
this point makes us who we are. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
the good and the bad and the ugly. They all come together to make us
Always
who we are.
in every single situation. We
Yeah.
actually have been talking a lot about that lately. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So when it comes to sport, like I've had a lot of
Mhm.
Americans on the podcast over the years. What does that
Yes.
look like in America for you when you were growing up?
Yeah. So it's pretty common in the United States for kids to test out like lots of different sports.
Hmm.
And so in the younger years, and I think this is kind of the same in Australia, like you kind of test out different sports.
Yeah.
Like, can
Yeah.
I have a potential with volleyball? And quickly for me, the answer was no. Can I do basketball? Very quickly, the answer was no. I did play volleyball for a year. I played basketball for a year. I tried softball because they said anyone was invited. They were like, oh
Oh,
no, we just need people. We don't care if you're good. But it turns out they really care if you're bad. So they
oh,
asked me to stop coming back after four games. And so I
I
stopped
like that.
going. So I wasn't like good at team sports. And so I was like, this just might not be my thing. When I was 15, no, 14, no, 13, right around those ages, I joined the US Naval Sea Cadet Corps. And that's kind of like, do you know JROTC? It's like junior military.
No, but we have like reserve. We have like a Navy Sea Scouts, I think, actually now. Sea Scouts. Yeah.
Yes. So Sea
That's
Scout sounds like Navy Sea
yeah.
Cadets.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I went to like boot camp, and through that program, I learned how to scuba dive, and we had to pass personal fitness tests. And I was the kid who, when I ran, my face would turn crimson. I turn red really easily.
Yeah.
Like if I'm even warm a little, I see it right away. But I would turn like just crimson. I had 20-minute miles. And when I joined the Navy Sea Cadets, you had to maintain certain standards for fitness. And for the first time, I loved the sport of personally competing with myself
Mm.
and being like, how fast can I get to for the mile? Because I can do it by myself. No one's watching. How fast can I get
Mhm.
to 30 push-ups and then 40? And before you know it, after the first year, I was training at home by myself all the time, running around my neighborhood and
Wow.
doing push-ups and using a couple of free weights we had. And I actually earned the ribbon for physical fitness in the Navy Sea Cadets, which meant I had to have an 8-minute mile. So I had improved so much. And I felt really like there was a lot of ownership and
Yeah.
personal pride, but it felt very like private and personal, like this win that
Yeah.
I did that I hadn't been able to do before with team sports.
It's a real achievement when
Mhm.
you do something that it's a solo effort, that it wasn't
Yes.
because somebody else caught the ball you threw or, or
Yeah.
kicked the goal because you were assist or whatever. It's
Yes.
uh it's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, it was a really cool period for me because there was actually a lesson I learned in that time. Um, I've never been a super like natural talent in most areas of my life. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. I never felt like there was one major thing where people would say like you've got a natural gift, and especially not when I was trying volleyball and basketball. They were like, please leave. How's the bench sound? So what I loved about it was I was able to watch the work I put in and see, oh, I can get better. I can
Yeah.
improve this just by incrementally like fixing all these things and working on it. So it was really cool to go from 20-minute miles, having cramps and a red
Mm.
face and having to sit a lot in the middle of the mile to being like, I might be able to run a little bit further.
I love that. Like it's something that I've always thought of myself like as well. Now,
Hmm.
that's more, we call it the jack of all trades, like somebody
Yes.
who's a generalist who I can do most things. I may not be
Yeah.
able to, I may not that I can't, I may not excel at any of them,
Huh?
but I can
Yeah.
do almost anything that I put my hand to.
Yep.
But the weird thing is now, if I talk to people who don't run and they see
Mhm.
some of the runs that I've done, they go, "Pfft, what are you talking about? You're a great runner." But if I talk to a bunch of people who are great runners,
Yes.
they're just like, okay, you're a runner. I'm not like a great runner, but so it's interesting, isn't it? Even in the environments that you
Uh-huh.
put yourself in, you have that. You kind of try to judge yourself whether you're.
Your personal
Yeah,
best.
I'm still a jack
Yeah.
of all trades.
Yeah.
If
I
that
still
makes
feel
sense.
that way in so many
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like I always can see someone who does much better than me in whatever it is I'm talking about, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. We're a bit hard.
Oh,
We're
to be
hard on
human.
ourselves, aren't we?
To be human. Yeah.
Were your sisters also, did they get into, what do you call it? I said Navy
Navy
cadets,
Sea
yeah?
cadets.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't. So in high school, the big thing I focused on, I started in Navy Sea cadets and then I did do cheerleading. Still wasn't like super
Okay.
great at it, but I smiled and I dazzled. Um, so I had charisma, but I wasn't amazing. I wasn't the super snappy, incredible dancer. Probably just for a lack of training, to be
Yeah.
honest. And so I went theater over time, and that was a place where I obsessed, and I was like,
Mhm.
wait, I can practice everything alone and get really good and come to rehearsals and just feel good about the work I've done. One sister was actually in Taekwondo. She got her second degree Hapkido black belt with two stripes. It was pretty high
Sounds
up.
great.
Yeah, she knocked me out once. I have a video of it. We were like, let's box in the basement for fun and just like spar and have fun and stuff. And then she accidentally roundhouse kicked me in the jaw and knocked me out. I was stunned. Like it was crazy. But she's really good at that. And she also did do theater too and
Yeah.
got some leads in theater roles. And then my other sister, my youngest sister, just theater. So we all kind of had a little bit
Uh,
of a proclivity towards musical theater, which I'm a huge fan of.
That's
But
interesting. And I happen to know
yeah,
one of your children is doing a little bit of that as well at the moment. Skipping ahead.
yeah, yeah.
Very
Tonight
exciting.
she's actually starring as young Nala in Lion King. So I know this is her third. I just have to say, I'm going to brag for a second because I don't brag about my kids enough. This is her third production and her third lead,
Oh,
which came out of nowhere. And when I was talking about how I don't feel like I naturally have the skills that people see and pick out, and they're like, oh, that person, she has that. She has that. We always call it la chispa, which is the spark in Spanish. She has la chispa. And the moment she turns it on stage, nobody can stop staring at her. So any role she goes for, she gets it. And I'm just like, I've never seen, you're like a freak in the best way. This is so cool. So yeah, tonight is her opening night.
how old is she? I should have asked that before.
Oh, she's almost 15. So my kids
Oh,
are almost 15, almost 11, and 7.
oh, we've skipped way through your life
Yeah.
to you having kids. Look at that. We're so clever. So that's so cool. We're going to find out where they came in your life in a minute.
hmm
When you were at school, running in Australia, running is something that they make us do. Like we have school carnivals and we have a cross country. Uh,
Mm.
is it similar in America? Is it something that, you have to do as part of the curriculum?
Not well, okay, so it's funny. America is funny.
Hmm.
So we have to run the mile. It's okay, we can laugh so we don't cry. We have to run the mile, I think, twice per year.
Hmm.
And so it's at the beginning of the year and at the end. And then in school gym classes, they will sometimes have sections where they're kind of testing for talent. So they'll have like a unit based on cross country. And then it's like we're going to do running and shot put and track
Yeah.
events too. But it's not a normal thing. People don't normally run in the United States unless they are runners,
Okay.
which is kind of interesting. I'm thinking through like every person I've ever met from the US. Running is not something that's normal. Like if someone says I run, people are like, "Oh, really? Wow, is someone chasing you?" Like that's the joke that always comes out because it's just not an
You missed the
everyday thing.
bus. Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. So can you
Yeah.
like obviously we've talked about team sports
Yes.
and your ability to get fit when you were able to do it as a
Yeah.
solo
hmm
thing for the Sea I was say Scouts against Sea Cadets. Um,
Yep.
can you remember apart from that, so do you remember the running element? Did you enjoy that when you were young, when you were building yourself up
Oh
for that?
man.
Or did you do it just for the goal of
hmm I did
what you were
that
set?
one definitely for the goal.
Mhm.
At first, like running did not come naturally to me. It was really hard. My dad always said that like he would say us bells don't have a build for running. We have a build for farming. And it's true because we're from like the
You're from
beef fields
Minnesota.
of Poland. That too. Beef fields in Poland straight to farm in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so he always said, like, I think it really affects our ability to run. And there is some truth to that. But I think he kind of capped his desire to like learn and push
Yeah.
through and try new things. So at first, I kind of bought into the narrative it had to suck and it had to be hard.
Mm.
And I remember like my lungs were on fire. And this is actually so weird. I've never talked about this. I developed sports asthma during that
Oh.
time when I was running. And then through running, and I realized over the years as a child, I would get out of breath and I was needing an inhaler. And I got my diagnosis when it got really bad through running. And it was through running I actually strengthened my lungs and have not
Oh,
needed an
wow.
inhaler since.
Go
Isn't
running.
Yeah. I'm not currently running, but I recommend it. It is so great.
That's so funny. Just back, it's interesting. Did you grow up, when you grew up, did you grow up in like a
Yeah.
suburb or did you grow up in country or you moved around a little bit or more in a,
Okay, so I grew up in like two of the top 10 most dangerous cities in our
oh,
entire state.
you
Yeah,
should have
they're
learned how to run.
yeah. I think I stayed inside a lot. No, they were super dangerous, which was wild. So they were not inner city, but on the ring just
Mhm,
outside of the city. So
mhm.
technically suburbs, but still like inner city
Yeah.
suburbs.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
far from the center.
that's where I
Mm.
grew up. There were sidewalks, but
Okay.
doesn't mean it was going to be a safe experience all
Mm.
the time.
Mm. All right. We'll
Hmm.
get into where you live now shortly because I think there's some similarities to where I live, just because I'm, as I said, a fangirl. So,
Love it.
so you know nothing about me, but I know lots about you. So nothing about your running though. Um, when you left school, what did you do? So tell me about your journey through
Yeah.
that part of your life.
Yes. So I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what.
Mm.
And my grandparents were very strongly like, you need to go to college. Now, here's the interesting thing. I graduated high school with just about like a C minus average,
Mhm.
which makes me so sad. I wish I could go back and like redo it because I'm so good at learning and I love tests and I love papers and all of that here now today. Sorry, as
It's
we're
fine.
watching, I'm going to be a little distracted because right now
It's
there
storm.
is a 150-foot tree that is swaying in a way that makes
Oh.
me very nervous. So
Oh.
if I flick this way, that's why.
I
Um,
think it's exciting. I mean, it's not, as long as you're safe, I think
there's
it's
an element
exciting.
of adrenaline for sure, right? Like this is Storm Watchers live.
Oh, exactly.
So um, I knew I needed to go to school for something, but I was so bummed by my grades. And a part of the reason my grades were so bad was there was just a lot going on in our
Yeah.
house. It was chaos, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so I went to the only school in Minnesota that didn't care about your grade point average. And it's called North Central University. And I was like, I'm going to go for music and business. I don't know. And I went there. And after 2 years, they asked me not to return, just like the softball team.
God, what's that about? That's
That one is a whole other story. I was really bad at that point. I was a party girl, Michelle. Were you a
no.
party? No, you were never a party
No,
animal?
I was. Yes, I was a
Yes.
party girl, but only for a very short period, like maybe 3 years, maybe 2 years.
Oh
Not,
yeah,
not a
yeah.
long time. Yeah, it
That's
was
standard.
good.
But that's a normal period of time to kind of like figure out what
Yeah.
do I want with life and do I get to let loose? Like,
Right.
so I was a really big party animal, nothing too crazy, nothing hard, but it was a Christian college and they had us sign like a moral compass and code of
Yeah.
conduct. And I
Yeah.
went outside of it. They asked me not to return. And so then I became a server for a few years, a host and
Excellent.
server. Yeah,
Excellent.
which I loved, by the way. I loved serving. I thought it was so fun. Have you served before?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I have. I was trying to think because we would say like I've worked in a bar.
Mhm.
Haven't worked in a cafe. So, but I've worked, yeah, and I've worked in like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Actually, that's where I worked when I was at school.
No
Yeah, yeah.
way.
There you
I
go.
worked at a Taco Bell once and I loved it. It was my favorite job I've ever had. I thought it was so fun. I was like free quesadillas and I get to speak Spanish every day. This is amazing. Same thing in restaurants. I was like, I get a free meal every shift and I get to talk with like the bus boys in Spanish. Like this is so fun. And for me, it was very like, I don't know, I loved it. So I was a server and then I was actually working at a Chinese and Thai restaurant. And then one day the smell of fish sauce was making me sick. And I
Oh.
mean, really sick. I kept rushing to the restroom because I was so sick. And turns out
Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant.
And how old were you at that point, Rachel?
I was 20. I
20.
was 20,
It was like yesterday
technically an
almost.
adult.
That's
I
actually.
know, right?
Oh.
Oh, so I was 20, and the next couple of years were just like, whew, trying to figure out life. Like, do I want a relationship with this person I'm
Yeah.
having a kid with? And he was significantly older than me.
Yeah.
He was 16 years older than me,
Oh
so
wow.
36, and
Yeah.
he had a 16-year-old kid, and who's a great. adult now, total adult. We're almost the same age. But I was trying to figure out like what do I do with this life that has like been hobbled together by accidental choices and
Yeah.
circumstance and chaos. And so I went to school to become a hairstylist while I was pregnant with Dakota and became a hairstylist.
Wow. So you went from trying to follow your little life through. You went from the Christian school to
Yeah.
being like, by the way, my children have been to a Christian school, so we to a Christian school
Yep.
there's lots of similarities.
Yes.
Yes, to the having a baby or to having a baby younger than
Mhm.
maybe you didn't plan it, which is fine. A lot of
Mhm.
people, their first child, they didn't plan, isn't that right?
Yes, I think so. And truth be told, I didn't actually, at that time, I didn't think that I wanted to be a mom ever.
Okay.
And I was like, that's just not a path for me. I didn't see it. And
Mm.
then once I got pregnant, I was like, well, and here we go. Let's just, you know, five, six, seven, eight, let's get
This is
into
the train
line
we're
and
on
get
now,
going.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me, the moment I found out I was pregnant, it was the right decision to become a mom. And it
Yeah.
really actually kind of helped me almost like stop a tailspin of life.
It
I
gives you an
was,
anchor, doesn't it? Sorry,
for
sorry to
sure.
interrupt, Rachel, but yeah, it is like
Don't,
that anchor.
no, interrupt me,
Mm.
please.
I'm terrible at interrupt. You have to just tell me to stop. I get too excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. It's like having had five. It's like an anchor.
Yes.
Well, it's almost like any decision that becomes that. It's kind of immovable, and then everything else has
Yeah.
to fit in around it, and it gives
Yeah.
you a filter through which to make decisions as well, which is
Mm.
probably helpful when you can do anything.
Oh,
That's almost my problem is in
yes.
my life as well, and I feel like you're a little the same.
Hmm.
It's not that we don't know what to do. It's just that there's so many choices that
Yes.
I don't know which direction to go. Whereas,
I agree with
yeah, when
that.
you have these anchors in your
Yeah.
life, that kind of helps with the filtering of what it is you're going to do next. The
Yeah. And
steps
I
you're going to make.
think because my life was like, it was just a pretty big mess. Like, if I were to lay it all out, we'd be here for
Mm,
45 minutes just talking about, and then this happened. And then I decided
yeah.
this, I don't know why. And so when I had Dakota, it was like, okay, A, I don't want this relationship. This just isn't what I see for my life. B, I need to get into a place of some type of support, even if it's not
Mm,
financial. I need to go and see if I can live with one of my parents for a while and just get my
mm.
feet underneath me, even if they don't have their feet underneath them yet. Sorry, Dad, miss ya. But
We
it
do it
was
together.
yeah. Let's be yeah, let's at least be back to back through this mess and start making better decisions. And then I mean, it helps a lot. It even helped the other day. I was considering, what if I just became a librarian? What if I just had this like low pressure job where I help people find the right books? And then I was like, I went back to the kids and they did act as that filter. Like, what do I want to provide them with for
Yeah.
the next 10, 15, 20 years? And I was like, okay, fine. I won't be a librarian. Not right now, at least. So I think that can help some people.
I think so too. I was always going to be a veterinarian or a doctor, and then again had the children, and
Yeah.
it was like, well, I could still do it. I did actually become a teacher, but didn't do it very long. Like I didn't, so I got the degree, but didn't practice as a teacher. I went into online marketing instead, as you do.
It works. Yeah. But I will say, like with kids, for me, some people are like, it's so limiting. And yeah, it did limit my options, but
Mm,
truth be told, it probably limited the wrong decisions, the
that's true.
ones that didn't lead to like, this is the end kind of vision I had for where I
Yeah,
want life to go. So it kind of
yeah.
almost like canceled out all of the crazy options, in
So
a good way.
how did your
Yeah.
hairdressing career go?
Oh, it went so well. And I miss it sometimes. So as I was a colorist specifically.
Yes.
So for the first time in my whole life, I wasn't a jack of all trades. I was a specialist.
Epic.
Yeah, I was like, this is so cool. I loved it because, oh, so I'm really picky about hair. Like everything from
Makes
the
me nervous
cut
now.
to how the color like lies. And this is talking about like fresh cuts and color. I am pretty crazy in a not good way. I'm very meticulous about like you need to know why you painted each and every piece where it is, and you need to visualize where the curls are. So very, very particular. And because of that, this was so crazy, Michelle. I attracted super high maintenance clients. And I'm talking about the high maintenance ones that are like, I brought with me last night's corn from my dinner because there's this perfect pale yellow, and this is the color
What?
light. And I was like, I get it. I know what you mean. That's different than the color of the inside of a banana. Yes. And so I had this incredible clientele that was like quickly multiplying, and they were very challenging to work with in the best ways. Like they propelled my level of expertise because I had to keep up with them.
Mm.
And nobody ever wanted to steal my clients because if I was out for a date, they would sub in and they were like, these people are high maintenance. I loved being a hairstylist. It was so fun.
Wow. So why did you
Yeah.
stop? Because you are not, as far
Yeah.
as I know, you might be doing it on the side, but as far as I know, you're not a hairstylist at the moment.
I'm not. If I was, I would be specifically a blonde specialist and extensions. Those are the two things I love. And then also wetting updos for my favorites. Um, okay, so I actually stopped because marketing fell into my chair quite literally. So I was giving highlights one day, and this client I had never met before. It was her first time at the salon, and she sits in my chair. We start talking about Shark Tank and business deals and like all of these things. And before you know it, I agreed to do some social media management for them. And I had only like posted before and after pictures on my social of color. Like here's before extensions and after. Here's
Yeah.
before a gloss and after. And they offered me a job for $15 an hour. And I was like, well, I'm a hairstylist in this new salon, and Paul is a window washer. We could use the extra cash. Let's do it. And that's literally how I got to where I am today.
That's amazing because people don't know where you are today, most of them, but that's crazy.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a full-time marketer now. So I'm in
Yes.
marketing, and I've worked with some names that some people may have heard of, like Dean Graciosi, or I trained Tony Robbins' social media team. If you haven't heard of them, I'm out. I don't know how else to go any further with
They'll
that.
definitely all have heard of Tony Robinson. I'm not sure about Dean, maybe in Australia because not,
Sometimes, isn't
yeah,
that always
yeah.
wild?
But
Yeah.
definitely Tony Robbins. He's like
Yes.
he's like the Oprah
Motivation.
of,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Very
I think
crossed over, into
yes.
the general conversations. I think
Yes.
I
I
find
think so
anyway.
too.
I could be biased though because it's our filters are a little different at there.
Hmm.
So when
There is, oh yeah, go ahead.
oh when you went into the marketing, did you do it just for that person that who you were talking to
Yeah.
in the salon? Is that how it
Yeah.
worked to begin with?
I started there, and I was limited to, let's see, so it was $15 an hour. I was limited to 10 hours a month. So they were like,
Oh,
we'll pay you for up to 10 hours a month. And so I quickly like went on Craigslist, and I was trying to find clients on the side, and just, all the usual
yeah.
places, looking on LinkedIn, applying for jobs, responding to things in Facebook groups. And I secured one more client. And then I was like, I have an idea. Why don't I try going for a job in marketing and seeing if I like this as a career? So I applied at I applied at a bunch of marketing agencies and ended up at this one. And no one will ever know who I'm talking about. But I started work at this marketing agency where basically we like spammed people's emails in mass. So we would send like, it was something crazy, like 150 million emails a day or something like
Wow.
that, and try to generate cold leads in that way. So it wasn't a full scale marketing agency, and I didn't like it.
Mm,
That just wasn't for me at that time. So I started there, but I started building up clients and like building my website in the slow times during the day there, and then applied for new jobs. I wanted more marketing experience, not just cold
yeah.
emails. And there was one job I had my eye on, and it was a marketing manager job. And this was at an Inc. 5000 tech company. And I was like, I am so underqualified for this, but I'm just going to give it a go. And I made it through the first round of interviews. Second round, the vice president of the company looks at me and says, "How much do you expect to get paid?" Now, keep in mind, I hadn't made more than, oh gosh, like 40,000 ever in my life a year.
Wow.
And I looked at her and I said, 64,000. And she said, "Okay, let's do it." And I was like, what just
What?
happened?
Should I
So
have asked for more?
I know. I was like, shoot, that was so easy. And then, truth be told, I'm a really fast worker and I finished all my work in 2 to 3 hours every day. So I started listening to marketing podcasts, which brought me to entrepreneurial podcasts, which brought me to online marketing. And I was like, so I built my clients up on the weekends and evenings and on my lunch break
And
in
you
that.
were no longer hairdressing.
Yeah, I left hairdressing when I got the one with the spam email,
Emails. Okay.
that one. And then, yeah, I did do some hairdressing on the side for years,
I
and
was
I'll
going to
still,
say that.
yeah, I'll still do hair. Like, for example, with Dakota's production right now, I'm helping her with hair and makeup design concepts
Yeah.
for her lioness look. And also costumes too for shows, but that's about it. And then sometimes, like, my last assistant got married and I did her hair for her wedding, and I'll do
Mm,
things like that sometimes, but
love
not
that.
too much. I miss it.
So we'll get into the running a little bit in a second.
Yeah. Oh
I,
yeah.
I wanted to skip right forward to now
Hmm.
and where your business is at now so that people get an idea. So rather than it,
Yeah.
yeah, so they know where you are now. You've given us the little
Yes.
story of how you started.
Yes. So, 14 years ago, single mom,
Mm.
welfare, in poverty, fully, 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 fully. And today we have crossed over $12 million in our business, which is crazy.
Yeah.
We have close to, well, it was 3 million followers. It's close to 3 million. And then we're reaching, this blows my mind, 20 to 50 million people every single month. I've been a
Amazing.
keynote speaker on incredible stages, and I'm a USA Today bestseller, which I'm sure is hard to believe because I'm dressed like a scrub today with the storms. I'm like, I swear I can be professional.
I hate that. The whole don't judge a book by its cover to me, because
Yeah.
I rarely even put makeup on because I'm a runner. Like, why would I? Anyway, so,
Right? I'm
um,
about to work out and sweat it off. And I wish that the business world were the same way. Like, some of the best
silly.
strategies I've ever written have been in unformatted Google Docs, And guess what? Some of the best strategies can come from people who aren't wearing makeup or who haven't done their hair for the day.
It doesn't like I have a story from my family. My grandmother came from a lot of money. She was quite wealthy, and when my grandfather died, her and a friend, no, he had died for a few years, but they used to go to Probus and just hang around like lovely little old ladies. Kind of think of Driving Miss Daisy type of people. They just kind of run around
Yeah.
getting into mischief. They were lovely. But she wanted to upgrade her car. So she wanted to go from like a Civic. She had like the up model Civic and she wanted to try a Mercedes or something, a luxury model. So there's
Yeah.
two 70-year-olds running around the shops, the car shops, and they wouldn't even let her test drive one by herself because she's a little old lady. So she just went back to the Honda place and got the best that they could sell her because they knew her, so they knew she could pay for it and all that. But because they didn't judge a book, they judged a book by its cover. They missed out on a sale and potentially multiple sales for the next few years because she did buy and sell a lot of houses in
Yeah.
the last few years. Once my grandfather died, she could do whatever she wanted, so she did.
I love
So
that.
there's that kind of they judged
Yeah.
her, and I thought, oh, that was a bit silly, really,
Yeah,
for them.
something similar happened to my in-laws. Um, I don't ever get frustrated when people like misjudge me, but it does
Mm.
happen quite a bit online. Reaching so many people, there are a lot of misconceptions
Yes.
every single day, every hour. We were on it was actually a business trip with my in-laws, and we were seated on this beach, and the person who was working at the beach, it was in Hawaii, so it was supposed to be you're not supposed to actually have private beaches in
Oh,
Hawaii. It's how
yeah.
it works. Even like
Mhm.
resorts can't, I guess.
Mhm.
And they were seated on some of the chairs, and this person came up and started pulling the chairs that they were sitting on out from under them. And
What?
I got like mother bear protective over my in-laws, and so did my husband. And we were
Mm.
like, we went and bought them a room for the rest of the week at that high end. It's like a five-star resort. We weren't even staying at a five-star resort, but I was like, and my husband goes over there and he's like, you need to put those chairs back. Put every single chair back and bring them waters and say sorry because you don't treat humans like that. That's so not okay. And then they were like apologizing and sent them a gift basket. But I get mad when I see that situation
Mm.
happen. Like, don't treat people that way. They're still humans, you know? And ugh, yeah.
There's so much in
I
there,
feel
isn't there?
that.
It's like horrible.
Yeah, yeah. Perception's wild, isn't it?
That's just yuck. Anyway, all
I
right.
know.
So you're in this, you're now, you've done an amazing job. You've gone from, as you described, from being on welfare as a single mum up to,
Mhm.
a multi-million-dollar company that you and your husband now run.
Mhm.
You do most of the work. Of course, he just is a side role. He's like, the team. You're talking about team sports. He's obviously good at the team sports.
He's
He's a
actually moved
good
into a
team.
main player role. So if
What?
I'm, yeah, this happened over the last year
That's
and it's
very
been
cool.
the coolest thing. So if I'm the pitcher, he's my catcher now. So we are like right there side by side all day. So that's actually new. We should talk about that more because it's
Mm.
been cool working side by side with my partner in every
Hmm.
area of life, you know?
It has its own because I've done that
Mhm.
over the years, and in fact, we both work for ourselves now from home, but we have
Yeah.
worked together. And I used to say that yes, I employed him, and then I sacked him a few years later. But really, the reality is we just work together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So
I love that.
it's kind of, but we're still very close. So living in the same
Yeah.
house and doing all the things and
Hmm.
always being around each other. That's not something that all relationships can do or have to do. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Good.
I think so. But we don't talk most of the day. We just
Yeah.
listen to our favorite podcast. So then we'll talk about that. We'll like pause the podcast, but we listen to like interviews and podcasts. And then I feel like that allows us to have something to talk about at the end of the day. Otherwise, you do run out of things. And you're like, so now what? We've talked about everything all day.
Ha- do you ever disagree about decisions around the business?
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, for
and
sure.
do you ever pull the card? This is my business. It's got my name on it.
Oh, I did that in the early days of my business, and I hate that I ever uttered those words. It's interesting because was it true? Yeah, like there was a time when Paul wasn't an active member in the business,
Hmm.
and so when he weighed in, I didn't value that.
Mm.
And I know now I like look back and I'm like, I sounded like I was 16, you know? And I would say, like, well, at the end of the day, it's my business. So it was actually these last 3 years I stopped saying my business and started
Oh,
saying our
I
business.
love
And that
that.
was that took a lot of like
Mm.
work to reprogram,
Mhm.
but it makes sense, you know, like this is my car. Don't make my car messy.
Mm.
This is my side of the bed. Don't put your stuff on my side of the bed. Hello. And I was so used to saying like my business, that I almost was creating the wall that was keeping him out of my business.
Yeah.
And so it's really come down and become more of a collaboration over
Yeah.
time. But goodness gracious, Michelle, that took us like 11 years
Mm.
to find kind of like the same point of view or to get on the same side. I remember I had a coach who actually yelled at me 6 years
What?
ago, and in a good way. I needed it. He yelled at me and he said, every time you say my business, you're keeping Paul on the outside, and you guys need to get onto the same side so that when you're looking at a situation, you can attack the situation and not accidentally hurt each other in the
Mm.
crossfire. So
Yeah.
you're standing on the same side. And it took me about 3 years to understand what he was saying. And then 3 years ago, it clicked for me. And
Yeah.
I think it clicked for Paul too, which is really, really cool. So there are a lot less disagreements now than there were in the early days.
I love that. I can totally relate as well. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I'm glad that you've got to a place. that's working for you now, both of you?
It's been nice. You said you and your husband run different businesses, right?
Yeah, so he just does his own
Yeah.
consulting. He's an online guru, or online. He's a coding guru type of. He's just a nerd. He's a
That's
nerd,
fun.
and
Yeah.
but thinks he knows a lot about marketing. And actually, he does quite know a lot. And so, whenever we do talk about things like that, he's always like, "What can you do with the podcast?" And so, anyway, so we just my podcast. Leave it alone.
Uh-huh.
Or he's just really good at fixing things, and I break them as well. So online,
Oh.
I'm very happy to press any buttons. I'm not frightened
Mhm.
of technology at all, and so I'll press anything, but I break stuff. But he fixes it.
That makes sense. Something we do sometimes with not work, but not just work, but projects too, is when something belongs to one person or the other.
Mm.
This was big for us, especially because we write books together
Mhm.
and we haven't released any, but that's going to be like our future, our next kind of
I
big
love
journey.
that.
And I have some books that are not his. And so when I'm writing those books, what I say is, I've got a really crystal clear vision in my mind of how this is going to go. Can I just handle this one?
Mm.
And then like that really helps. And he does the same thing. Like I've
Yeah.
got a crystal clear vision on how to handle this issue with the kids. Can I handle this one? And
Mm.
we're like, yep, cool. And it doesn't put you on opposite
Mm.
sides,
And you've communicated too, rather than it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's often in relationships, there's this, you should know what I'm thinking.
Huh?
We've been together for 27 years. You should know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that, does it?
Mm-mm.
Apparently, it's a shame. Um,
I know.
we need to talk about running.
Let's do it.
I don't want to. I don't want to talk about marketing. No, I'd love to talk about running as well. They're
Yeah.
two of my loves, the marketing side and running as well. I just need to be better at bringing the two of them together so that I market my running stuff.
Yes.
But anyway, Rachel, tell us how running came into your adult life past your
Mhm.
seats.
Yes. Okay. When I was at the Christian college,
Mm,
um, I had run in high school with
mhm,
Navy Sea cadets, never more than like a mile or two. But I was like, I like this. I like how this makes me feel. I feel like I'm floating afterwards. Like,
yeah.
everything just feels lighter. And so when I was at the Christian college, it was in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota,
Mhm.
and I would put on my little rucksack or whatever it was, the drawstring, and I
Yeah.
would run my errands. So I remember I had this loop all through downtown
Yeah.
Minneapolis, and I would run to the bank and deposit my check or do whatever's needed there. I'd run to Target and pick up a couple items. I'd run to the tanning salon. Don't judge. It was a time when everyone tanned.
I did
Um,
maybe 3 times. Like, did I do it?
oh,
Yeah.
it was a big thing here. So I would run and go tanning, and then I would sometimes run across like the Stone Arch Bridge, and then I would run back to my school, and then I would go and lift weights.
This is an interesting episode we're having today. We have got Rachel Pedersen back. You may not even notice that she's been gone for 2 weeks because her internet stopped right at the pivotal moment we're about to talk about her running. So rather than hide that fact and stick it all together again in the production, I decided let's just be upfront about that and say, hey, Rachel, thanks for coming back 2 weeks later to talk about the running part of your story.
I'm so glad to be back. I know everyone's like, what? 30 seconds passed, but basically we had a huge storm roll through, which I knew might happen. And then a tree fell. We lost internet. Tornadoes touched down. And I was like, as soon as we have internet again, I need to talk to Michelle. So here we are.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, for everyone else, it's not going to seem like much of a big deal, but for the two of us, it's been a long 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
just
for
lucky they
sure.
didn't have to wait for 2 weeks. I'm glad that you're safe too. We don't know in Australia. We do have crazy weather, but sometimes
Mhm.
because we don't really have tornadoes, we do have cyclones occasionally, but it seems like that stuff happens over there more than we get the swirly wind things.
Yep.
So it just seems quite scary. We're not used to it here?
It's not too bad. I'll be super honest. Like we're used to it. We're having weather that reminds me of when I was young.
Yeah.
Um, I remember we would always be going down to the tornado, not shelter, but it's like the utility room,
Yeah.
and we have brick utility
Mm.
rooms because there's no hurricane flooding here. And so it's almost like, wow, I remember this drill. I remember like we had to wake up at 1 a.m. and go get the kids, and they were all
Oh,
sleeping and be like,
wow.
get downstairs, there's tornadoes touching down now. And it's just routine. You sit in there, everyone's cuddled up in blankets, and then you wait for it to pass, and then you're back in bed. It's
That's
so weird. Yeah.
that's crazy. I just think of what is it? Where Alice is it, who is it? No, what the one that says oh, we're not in Kansas anymore to
Wizard
Toto.
of Oz.
Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz, that's the one. Like, oh my gosh, very uprooting. All right. Now, when we were talking, we got to the bit I believe I wrote down because you just disappeared, but we knew that might happen. That you were in college and you'd started running a little bit, and I think I wrote down you were running through arches and things. I guess in the city that you
Yeah.
were at school
All
in.
through, yeah, all through
Yeah.
Minneapolis. So running, my love for it, where it became not because I needed to do it for like the Navy Sea cadets, or
Yeah.
not because I needed to do it to pass a mile test.
Mhm.
My love for that grew in college. My freshman year of college, I remember I ga- everyone talks about the freshman 15, and apparently I don't know balance or norms or averages. I do things either extraordinarily well or
Mhm.
extraordinarily terribly.
Excellent.
So yeah, so I gained freshman 40, and I was like, oh, this won't do next year. I've got a cute boyfriend at that time. And so I was like, I'll go back to what I know. I can run. It's free. I can just run through the city. And so that's where that desire to be like active regularly without
Yeah.
someone else telling me to was really born.
Mm. And
Mhm.
can you remember how it felt and how it helped what the other things that we were doing? You just described it. I guess
Yeah.
it was good for staying fit, but what did that
Mhm.
mean to you, I suppose, at that
Yeah.
time?
So the first thing I noticed was I started going for longer runs then. My record had always been like 1 to 2 miles, and it was
Yeah.
just the 1 to 2 miles to pass
Yeah.
your test, and
Yeah.
it was good. That was when I started running 5 or 6 miles several times a week, and I would just do it by myself through downtown Minneapolis.
Beautiful.
I had this little like I wish people could see me like acting this out. I had one of those little drawstring bags, and I was holding it like this so that no one would steal it off my back. So I'm holding onto the strings and running like this. But at least I was running. And I actually got really, really fit during that time. And I just always remembered there's nothing quite as effective for clearing your mind and getting fit and feeling like light and fit and free,
Mm,
and to get that high feeling from working out, quite like running.
mm.
So for me it was, I'm gonna incorporate this as often as I can. And yeah, notice I said as often as I can because life changes sometimes.
Well,
But
tell me what happened. I mean, we know what happened because, for other people, it was a couple of minutes ago when you talked about it. You went off and became a hairdresser and did, other things and had children. And did running come along with you in that journey? What did that look like?
running didn't come along with me in hairstyling, but so first I had our oldest Dakota,
Mm,
and I was living in this little tiny, tiny house in an unsafe part of town, and my
yeah.
sisters would live there at least half the time. I'm quite a bit older than them, and so my middle sister Jessica and we would go on runs through the downtown of that city, and we would run quite a bit. She was super active. She did taekwondo,
Yeah.
had her second degree. Yep. As I already mentioned 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago. But she naturally has like an athlete's build and how she carries herself. Everyone always assumes she's an athlete.
Yeah.
And nobody ever assumes that for me,
What?
which is fine. I know. So I let her set pace. And then I was like, I'll just keep up with you. And we would have like the best conversations as we'd go on these runs. And
Oh, wow.
every stoplight, we would just have these amazing talks and clear our heads and, process life together. And it was a big time. So I would run 5, 6 times a week during that season
Mm,
as I was a single mom. And my record was 13 miles in one go. It was on a hot day though,
Oh,
and I got heat
I
stroke.
bet.
Yeah, so my phone died, and so I had to like slowly walk to a random bar along the river and be like, I need water and a phone. And I looked terrible, but they let me in. They could tell I was like sunburnt and
Oh,
all that.
no.
They're like, yeah, we can let you in. And I had to call and get a ride from
Oh,
someone.
my gosh.
But that was it was a time where I loved that and pushing myself. When I became a hairstylist, the one thing I didn't expect is how difficult certain jobs make it to want
Mm,
to go and do something active after. And
mm,
hairstyling is one of them. It's basically anything that's like a physical trade where you're on your feet. I remember someone told me they had like their Fitbit or some whatever the equivalent was at the
yeah.
time. They're like, I'm clocking 10 to 20,000
Mm.
steps every shift. And I was like, how are you supposed to run after that? Like your knees are tired,
You're standing up all
you're
the
on
time, aren't you?
the whole
Yeah.
time. So I took a break from it for a while. And then the last few years, I've attempted several times to prep for a marathon and I've gotten to a few miles each time. And it still just doesn't fit for me right now, but it calls to me all the time. And actually, before you reached out about your podcast, I told Paul, I was like, I think the marathon bug is biting again. I have yet to do it, but I always get close. I get to that halfway point, and then I'm like, and I stop.
And life's, yeah, and life. Well,
Like,
it's always there. It's not going away. And the last
no.
time I looked, you're still a spring chicken to me. And when I turn up to a marathon line, or the last time I did, and I do a slightly longer as a rule at the moment, but I look around the start line, and a lot of the people, not a lot, but a lot enough, are older than me. So it's not like there's plenty of
Oh,
time, is what I'm
oh,
saying.
so much time. And I think about that all the time with running and physical
Mm,
fitness. Like, there's okay, I'm fit, I'm trim, or I feel
mm,
good. And then there's like, no, I got like fit. Those are all goals I have, and they're not in this season easily able to happen.
mhm.
Realistically, there's priorities. But I remember there's going to be an era after the kids too, and
Yes,
tons
there
of
is.
time. And I could run 10 marathons after the kids are grown if I want.
There's so much to unpick there. We can't unpick it all. But
Yeah.
often on the podcast, we talk about it being in your toolbox, not only just in your toolbox, but also in your children's. And
Mhm.
when they see you do stuff, whatever it is, it becomes stuff that they have in their toolbox,
Yeah.
whether they choose to take it on or not, because they see their parents do it. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm part of them. That's just how it works. And so I
Mhm.
must be able to do that whether I want to or not at some point in the future. So it becomes, it's kind of,
Yeah.
like I said, in their toolbox. And the same for you, for you personally, having run plenty, during your
Yeah.
life. It's in your toolbox. It's not like it's something you don't have to get over that hurdle. Oh, I don't know how to, or I'll look silly. You've done all that in somewhere, and it's become a little bit of your identity. Hence, you did put your hand up and say, "Yes, I'd love to talk on a running podcast."
Yes.
So it's
Oh,
still there. What do you
it,
do now in order to stay fit? What do you do
okay.
for your?
So this is really timely because last year I completely stopped.
Mhm.
With grief from losing my dad, I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was like it was heavy. It weighed me down. It made it hard for me to even want to even walk.
When did you lose your dad last year?
Oh, it was I think we're coming up on 2.5 years.
Oh
So
wow.
about a year ago, yeah. And he lived with us. He lived with us
Oh
for pretty much our entire marriage. And before that, I always lived with him.
yeah,
And so
that
I didn't
constant.
know, yeah, I didn't even
Mm.
know adult life without
Mm.
living with my dad, which
Wow.
was wild, or him living with us.
Mm.
So it was a big adjustment, and it took me about a year and a half to kind of actually feel
Mhm.
it all versus being strong and paying for the funeral
Yeah.
and helping my sisters. Um, so it was about a year ago that I was just like, I just don't care right now. I want
Mm.
to eat everything. I want to not worry. I want to drown my sorrows in ice cream and potato chips. And I just consciously made a decision to let go.
Mhm.
Fast forward 6 months, and I had gained 45, 50
It
pounds
comes on much quicker than it goes off. It's not fair. I don't
so
know if you
fast. It's not fair. So I allowed myself to do that. And then one day I woke up and my daughter sent a picture of me from like a get together, and I was like, huh, okay, that's not when I feel my best. I still
Yeah.
love me. I still appreciate me.
Hmm.
That me protected me through all this grief and the
Hmm.
feelings, but it's time to make a change. So I hopped on the treadmill. It's always the first thing I do, even if I can't run yet. And I knew at that point I wasn't strong enough or fit enough
Yeah.
to. But I always start with walking. So I was like, I'm going to walk for 1 hour per day, either on a treadmill or outside, depending on
Yeah.
the weather. I just hop on, and then I'll push it to like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I'll
Hmm.
set my laptop up and
Yep.
do all my admin tasks while I'm power walking
Mhm.
on the treadmill. That helps
Yep.
a lot. And then I'm really big into weights. I
Okay.
love strength training. It's actually my go-to favorite thing. It
Don't ever
transforms.
let that go. I'm just going to say, as you get
I
older, don't
won't.
let that go. It's so important as you age.
I won't. And you can tell the difference when
Mm.
muscles have been strength trained. And
Mm.
I love the look of built muscles. I think they're
Mm.
so cool. I love that we can all have some level of them too, you know?
Absolutely.
So I do weight training, and that's the one my kids have picked up the most.
Oh,
So
wow.
all three kids are always like every so often they'll gravitate towards the garage and be like, I'm gonna go lift some weights. And I'm like,
Oh,
weird. Oh, they've been watching and listening, you know?
exactly.
So I do walking, strength training, and then one that is kind of fun, and we do this with the kids to trick them into being active when they're being lazy in
Yeah.
the summer, which we all do. I will say, hey, you know that game Just Dance on Nintendo Switch? We
Yeah.
want you guys to go and play 6 songs and keep track of the score, and whoever, or we'll do seven if there's a tiebreaker. Um, Whoever wins will give you like a
An ice
prize
cream.
or
No,
something.
not an ice cream.
That's my rationale. Yeah. No, oh, that would be actually really fun. But so that works because each song is 3 to 4 minutes. And then before you know it, they've got the cardio and they just thought they were playing a game competing against each other.
Yeah.
And they're doing like the full dances, rah, rah, Rasputin and all of that. It's really nice. So I will do that one quite a bit, but walking is always my go-to. So Paul and I will just every so often, if I need a break, and I mean every so often, multiple times throughout the day,
Mm.
hey, do you want to just go walk 3 laps around the block and
Yeah.
let's go get a few miles in or whatever? And he's like, deal, let's do it.
So
We just put on, yeah.
the environment you live in, are you in like a suburban environment? I don't know if I asked you that last time.
Mhm. We are in a suburban environment. I'm in Minnesota, so we have really rough weather, which
Hmm.
is why we have a treadmill
Hmm.
always, because it's not easy to walk outside more often than it's not. Yeah, it's suburban. The one thing that's weird, and I didn't look at this before we moved here, there are no sidewalks around
Oh,
our house, and they're streets with curves and big trees that block sightlines.
oh, wow.
So you have to at least for a mile, like keep an eye out and make
Mm.
sure that there's not a car coming or whatever before you actually hit trails, which is fine if it's a long haul. But yeah, it's not naturally conducive to walking or running, but we still do it.
Did I see somewhere in my fangirlness you with horses?
Yes, you
How
did.
do you do that? Where like that? Explain.
Yeah, so we have three amazing horses. So we have our first horse was an interesting purchase. Um,
Mm.
I was so green, didn't know anything about horses. The guy's like, "Oh, she's easy to ride. You can ride her bareback. She's super." No, she will kill you. And I learned that the hard way. She reared up fully on me, and I was like, oh, this is so scary. So then we're like, okay, that didn't really work as well, but she's sweet when you're on the
On the
ground.
ground.
So we went and got a second horse, and his shoulder blade was 6 feet tall, which is called 18 hands high. Massive horse, and he had a lot of like trauma, and he also couldn't be ridden, not easily. So we were like,
Two
let's get
very
a
big cats.
third. Yeah. We call them pasture ponies or pasture pets. Yeah. They literally are ornaments, but they're so great. And then we were like, okay, we really need a safe horse for riding. So we have Rosie and then Brad, and then we got Lego. And he comes from a beautiful lineage, and he's our daughter's horse. And she's an incredible rider. She loves riding horses. She's always kind of like training and thinking about like, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to do it for fun? But we don't own them here.
Okay,
So
that's what I
here we
was.
have like, do you guys have stables or are they called liveries?
No liveries. Livery?
Livery? I'm new to this word. I've never heard it
I've grown
before.
up with horses. However, I
Oh
grew up on a
yeah.
farm, so I always had horses. That's what interested me in it. And I know that the
Yeah.
exercise and that you have to be a little bit fitter and whatever to look
Yes.
after horses. It's not like just
Yeah.
feeding the cat or the dog. And as you
No.
described, the weather where you are
Mhm.
isn't all that. So you have to like there's a lot of things involved in order to look
Yeah.
after horses
Yeah.
anyway, but then you put them in an environment where it's extra cold and extra warm
Mhm.
during the year. There's all these
Yeah.
other layers too. So yes, we do have stables, but my yeah, it's not something I've
Yeah.
had a lot to do with it. We would have stables on our farm, but only so that we could muck around and tie the horses up, and then they wouldn't stay there, like because it didn't snow or it didn't,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just
Yeah.
fun.
So we let other people do the day-to-day management. So
Hmm.
we board them, which is awesome. And I will say, having a horse, he's 2,400 pounds. So he is massive. He's over a ton. And just this insane beast, the kind where even like seasoned equestrians are like, oh, that is a hunk of a horse. But he had a lot of like trauma issues when he came to
Hmm.
us, and we didn't know that, of course.
Mm.
Um, so when he would like run in circles, and it's really scary when his hooves are this big
Wow.
and all that. He would run in circles when we were trying to, sedate him for the
Hmm.
vet and stuff. And one time he took off and I didn't let go of the lead rope.
Oh
So
wow.
he's dragging me. I'm like water skiing on ice and he's pulling me down the street away from the ranch. And everyone's like, let go. And I'm like, no. And they're like, no, seriously, please let go. So it was that, that was a time where I
Wow.
realized I have to stay fit for not
Yeah.
only myself, the kids, but our animals too,
Yeah.
because they
Yes.
require fitness for sure.
So one of the things I wrote down, knowing your life a little bit, as I keep saying, to fangirl, because I've picked
Oh,
up lots
it's
of stuff
okay.
from like, this is crazy. Um, how do you fit it all in? Like like
Oh,
if you've got, I'd love to see another layer of regular running in there, if I was to be
yeah.
honest, like to be your
Yeah.
coach. I'd like you to do a little bit more running. But it's like, how do you
Yes.
fit it all in, though? So, I mean, that's a common question I asked for
Yeah.
overachievers on the podcast, which, to be honest, a lot of runners are. They tend to
Yep.
be, they almost fit into that analogy, give a busy person something to do and they'll get it done. They
Faster,
just,
right? And they
yeah,
usually say
that's
it's
right.
moms with
Yeah,
lots of kids
exactly.
or who
Mm.
raise lots of kids. Okay, so how do I fit it all
Yeah,
in?
how do you manage it?
Well, it's like me trying to fit into a bandage dress a year ago. It's packed tightly. So it's interesting because I really struggle with the in-betweens and the
Yeah,
average and the this is just maintenance mode. So if
yeah.
I don't have something that I'm like striving towards, it's really hard for me to do things like running or
Mm.
things like writing a book, a nonfiction book or something. I have to have like, we need to get this going. We need to get this moving. So there has to be some element. It's exactly what they teach in marketing. I personally need like a deadline, urgency,
A
scarcity,
goal
something.
sort of
I
orientation.
have to
Mm.
have that. Otherwise, to me, I'm like, does a run count if I don't, the same things
Yeah,
that come
yeah,
up. So,
yeah.
so yeah, I wake up earlier than the rest of the family.
Hmm.
And I'll often get in like my me time, and that
Hmm.
includes like scrolling on TikTok or walking on the
Yeah.
treadmill or meditation, whatever feels right for the morning, but it's whatever I need to feel prepped for the day.
Hmm.
And then everything is about time blocking. So I'm very intentional. Not only do I have everything time blocked out on my calendar, like this is my time for filming content.
Hmm.
This is my time for prepping the dinners for next week. This is my time for etc. But I also am intentional. I need to see margin between the different tasks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I never get the things that recharge and refill me.
Yeah.
So in those margin moments, that's when I'm like, let's go take a walk. I'm going to
Yeah.
quick go lift some weights in the gym. That's usually when I fit those things in.
Kind of like a
But it's
buffer.
not, everything doesn't feel balanced all the time. I hope that
Mm.
helps. It
Well,
feels
it
like
shouldn't.
a few things are in balance right now.
I do wonder. I think balance is a bit of an illusion. Like it's an aspiration, perhaps. Rather, it's a better word than illusion that we're all kind of aspire to. But I don't think we should beat ourselves up for not
Mm.
reaching it because I don't think it's
Yeah.
possible to. At least it might be possible to have it for a period, whatever that is, tiny or a little bit larger. But we can't sustain it because life happens and there's a lot of things we don't have control over, as I'm
Yeah,
sure you're aware of. So things
for
just
sure.
come at us, and that doesn't help. So to
Yeah.
help with that, um, do you call yourself a runner? We often talk about identity in the
Oh,
podcast.
hmm. It's so interesting. Oh, that's such a good question. I don't think I've ever called myself a runner,
Mhm.
but I only add author to my bio because people tell me I have to. I also don't call myself an author still.
I put
Um,
podcaster on mine, which it took me ages to
yeah,
do.
I don't even call myself a podcaster. Isn't that
It
so
is.
wild?
There's
Um,
no right or wrong answer. It's just
yeah,
like, what do you think of yourself? It's an identity
yeah,
question.
it's interesting. I don't call myself a
Mm.
runner. I never have.
Interesting.
And I'll share why, even though I know
Yeah.
it's not true.
Yeah.
There's always this like belief that runners, and I'll share like the joke, they always wear certain outfits, right? Their outfits
Mhm.
indicate that they're runners, or they
Lycra.
have a certain, yeah, yeah, like it's true though. Um, I don't know. I feel like runners runners carry this aura of running is natural to me. And I already know
Mm.
this isn't true, but there's just
Mm.
this ease. It's almost like if you were to say, Rachel, are you a marketer? I'd actually be like, yeah, I am a
Yeah.
marketer. I
Yeah.
love marketing. It's natural, it's inherent, there's mastery over it. But I would say I can run.
Yeah.
It's not well, it's pretty ugly when I run, but I can run. I've had many seasons where I run, and it would take me literally probably doing 3 marathons in a row before I would say, not in a row, three back
Yeah.
to back,
Yeah.
before I would feel comfortable saying, I feel like I've put in the time to call myself a runner and feel good about it.
Isn't that funny? Because a lot of people
Yeah.
will say that they will, it's an external measurements that other people, like a marathon is just a distance that, like, it's who put that line there? It's like, it's just a distance. And then we
Yeah.
all, because of our culture and because of things, it's this magic line that a lot of people use, a distance. It might not be a marathon. It
Hmm.
could be 5K or 10K or 21, but it's just
Yeah.
this arbitrary number. And we're like, well, that makes us
Uh-huh.
a runner then. And then I've had people on here who I would call them a runner more than I call myself a runner. And they say, no, I don't call myself a runner. I run every day, but no, I'm not a runner. Like
Yeah.
it's just because for whatever reason in their head they attach something else to being a runner.
I also wonder too if it comes from needing to quantify like the proof of it.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you say like, "Oh, I'm a runner" to somebody and they aren't open-minded or they haven't learned about it, they might be
Yeah,
like, "Oh, how fast is your mile?" And you're like, "No, I never said I was fast. I said I run."
exactly.
Like,
Yes,
or what's the furthest you've run? And if you're
exactly.
not proud of your answer, it's hard to assume that identity.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's the other side to that is that a lot of people on podcast will say, "Yes, I'm a runner," and I remember thinking that when I was whatever, and then we talk about injury, and then we talk about, well, what happens when that thing that you now identify with is
Mhm.
removed? You
Yep.
can't do it anymore. Like, what would happen? Like, to say to you, if you couldn't market anymore for some reason, I don't know what happened, but some
Yeah.
reason you couldn't be a marketer anymore. Like, you just couldn't. I don't know. Something stopped. Something stopped you. I'm trying to think what could stop you. Um,
The internet
What would you
dies
do?
forever.
Yeah, there you go. You couldn't be an internet. Well, you just become some other kind
Yeah.
of marketer. But you could. That's,
Yeah.
marketing's a great skill. I can't work out how to, if that
So,
makes sense.
oh yeah, I always, okay, so let's say for example, I identified as a runner all the time. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm a runner. I feel
Mm,
proud of it. I can say that. And let's say tomorrow for some reason my legs say no more. You're not
mm,
running anymore, or my
mm,
knees or whatever. Well, then I'd be like, well, what can I do? Okay,
mhm.
I can still dance. It's just going to be different. I
Yeah.
can still train. I can still, and I'd go through that list and be like, okay, so maybe we need to go from this niche of running to I am active or I am an
Mm,
athlete and kind of like make it, I don't know, more broad.
yeah.
So if marketing disappeared, the internet disappears, I would be like, you know what? I'm a creative.
Yeah.
And I'm a writer and I'm a
Yeah.
storyteller.
Yeah.
So I can take those things and apply them to almost anything else. And same thing with being active or saying
Yeah.
I am an athlete. I am called to
Mm.
active things,
And you
right?
want to be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I think
so.
that's probably a
Yeah.
healthier, not that there is nothing's wrong with identifying as something that can be
Yeah.
taken away from us so,
Yep.
arbitrarily sometimes.
hmm
Um, but those bigger, it's like an umbrella identity almost.
hmm
Um,
You know,
that is
so,
important.
oh yeah, there's this, there was a video that actually, remember when I emailed you, I said, if you're okay with me not being very good at running and looking really stupid when I run, I'd love to talk about my experiences with running. So there was this TikTok trend where you were supposed to like hear something and then turn around and then run. And in my head, I was like, this is going to be
A
so
gazelle.
great. Yeah, for sure. I thought so. I was like, I'm going to look so beautiful and so graceful. And Paul records it. And I turn around and I run. And I'm just going to say, I looked like I was running to like a department store clearance sale that I just found out about, just shuffling. And I was like, that was pretty mortifying. Yeah. If I was ever going to call myself a runner before, now it's never. So that was the moment where I was like, this is a private thing for me. So,
I love it. And of course, the other layer to all of that is that I
Mhm.
believe we are
Mhm.
all runners, actually, because
I
if we
love that.
weren't, then our ancestors, we wouldn't be here because our ancestors were all decent runners because they ran away from being eaten
Danger.
and they get right and
Yeah.
they also ran towards food. The rest of them
Yeah.
didn't survive, the people. So we all have the ability to run in some way and
I, I
whatever we
agree
want to
with you.
label it. Mm.
I really agree with you. I think there's a difference between like mastery in something versus
Just,
I do it.
it's innate. I think it's
I do
natural for
it.
most of us. It's like innate.
Yeah.
We can all do
Yeah.
it. We just,
hmm
it's what level you want to take it to. That's your choice. That's your personal choice.
Love
Anyway,
that outlook.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to talk a little bit about your bipolar, which is
Yeah.
probably
Let's
like I
do
just
it.
dropped a bomb or everyone else, but you were quite happy for me to talk about it. But how being physically healthy helps that or doesn't? How does that work?
Oh my gosh.
Being
Okay.
healthy.
So, yeah, I'm bipolar type
Mhm.
1. I was diagnosed 3 years ago. It
That's
was,
late, isn't it? Is that late? I mean, or does it, are adults
um,
more
it
diagnosed
is.
than young people, children?
I think adults are more frequently diagnosed because there's a lot of stigma and
Mm.
shame around like mental illness
Yep.
as a whole. It's very misunderstood,
My
which
mum's an
is
art therapist, so
oh, amazing. Yes, you're familiar,
I'm in the
right? With
world of mental health
yes.
all the time.
Yes. So sometimes it was interesting because five years before I got diagnosed, no, 3 years before I got diagnosed,
Mhm.
I actually was watching a TV show. It was Modern Love, and there was an episode about bipolar, and I didn't know that going in. And I'm watching this show, and it's in the middle of COVID, and I'm sitting in bed, and I was kind of emotional that day, anyways. And I'm watching, and suddenly I realized tears are soaking my shirt. And as I was watching this episode, it's starring Anne Hathaway.
Mhm.
And it was the best representation of what my life is. And I was like, what is happening? And as the episode unfolds, she reveals that she has bipolar. And I literally made Paul, I watched it twice back to
Yeah,
back because I was like, I have never seen my life represented so well that I can achieve, I can do anything and everything, and then I can do nothing. My
yeah,
limbs feel like lead.
yeah.
And that was big, but I didn't even go to get help for it. And there were two major reasons. I never got diagnosed at that time because the entrepreneur community actually was very big into like, you need to quit your medications and you
Mm.
need to rewire your brain and naturally resolve this, which could be helpful in some situations,
Mm.
not for bipolar. Don't stop taking your meds, kids. Like, don't, trust
Yeah.
me. It's you just don't want to. And so it was 3 years, 2, 3 years later that all of a sudden it became very urgent. I had a mental health crisis
Yeah.
that was really tough, manic episode. And I didn't know what was happening. And I
Hmm.
was really grateful to get the diagnosis during that time. Since then, everything has been about like getting stable
Yeah.
and getting not only stable but managed and getting to a place of thriving. And it all stemmed from healthy routines. So no all-nighters, sleep every night, um, making sure that I'm eating fruits and
Hmm.
vegetables, less of the fried foods, less caffeine. Pretty much it's just across the board. It's all the things we're always taught are healthy habits. Move your body,
Yeah.
meditate, make sure to breathe. They all really do make a difference, especially when you say, I'm not going to miss them no matter what. It helps to kind of like smooth out the lows and highs of
Mm.
bipolar. So it all of that has become a non-negotiable in my
Yeah.
life.
Which
Hmm.
is, I mean, it's a blessing in many ways because it puts you in
For
this
sure.
healthy space. Like, we
Yeah,
talked before about having a goal and that you're kind of goal orientated.
very much so. Yeah, so it's like every day is just, are we still following the foundations of health?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. And we're managed. Okay, good. Yes. Cool. We're X number of days without incident. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But for a while, I still wanted to believe that like I was the exception to the rule
Yeah.
of healthy
Yeah.
behaviors. Mm-mm.
Don't
Turns
we
out there
all?
are no exceptions. Yeah.
Do, do you think the amazing things that you've done
Hmm.
would have been as amazing if your brain wasn't wired that way? Like, I mean, that sounds like a silly question in relation to your bipolar, like, because they
Yeah.
often say people who make amazing findings and things and do amazing
Yeah.
things with their lives have, this, I don't know how to describe it. The yin and the yang. They have
Yes.
it's all on or all
Highs
off,
and
like you
lows.
described, and so therefore when they are in that really high,
Yeah.
high production or whatever phase of
Mhm.
whatever they have, they do amazing things and they make amazing discoveries and they do
Yes.
now. So yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, so yes,
Yeah.
where you are now, because to me you are, you've done amazing things. Obviously, life's not always roses and
Yes.
as you've described. But
Yeah. I
I,
do think bipolar has had a huge part to play in the way that I'm actually going to go back more fundamentally to how
mhm,
I experience the world. So to me, like senses are very heightened on
mhm,
pretty much everything. Like people will read me words of copy and I can feel in my brain textures and I can like tear up imagining the person who's reading it. So there's this, it's almost like synesthesia
yeah,
where everything feels so 3D and tangible to me.
mm,
And like the highs are beautiful. Like in the
mm,
highs, you can have the most incredible discoveries and awareness. But what I didn't know before was how to like, okay, so let's express the high and then let's just pull back a little. Let's calm it down. Let's not feed into it. It's like
yeah,
the Tasmanian devil if I get
yeah,
wound up.
yeah,
So literally, before it would be like incredible discovery of a new system for content and then share it with the world, get really excited. It feels like now's the
mhm,
only time. We got to make this happen today and then crash. And then I'd be out of commission for 3 days. So now, once I start getting really excited and I notice, oh, I'm in hypomania, which we got to be
yeah,
careful with, Paul and I will go, and let's de-escalate. So
mm,
we'll intentionally de-escalate it. But I do think bipolar has led to a difference of how I experience and see the world, if that
mm,
makes sense. And
yeah,
then that
totally.
helps. Yeah,
It's
that helps with everything.
it's kind of like you got to learn to harness it, don't you? Otherwise, it's a
Hmm.
runaway horse.
Yes, for sure.
For an analogy from earlier.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the Hulk, the Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk,
Hmm.
and how she has to like try to calm him down or get him mad or whatever. It does feel that way sometimes with the highs and the lows and stuff, but
Yeah.
harnessing it it's a lot of routine,
Yeah.
which I wasn't used to. So,
But now you're there. What do you do for fun? I mean, you've probably mentioned bits and pieces of it through this
mhm.
conversation, but what if someone asked you, what
Yeah.
do you do for fun? What would you say?
Oh, I read. I
Hmm.
read for fun a
Hmm.
lot. I love reading fantasy fiction. I just finished up an incredible book called The Will of the Many,
Yeah.
and it is so good. So good. I listened to it on audiobooks so Paul and I could
Hmm.
enjoy it at the same time. Cooking is actually one of my passions. I love cooking. You can
Hmm.
put me in pretty much anyone's fridge and I can grab ingredients and combine them and make homemade sauces. That is not fully appreciated by my kids, by the way, which
What?
is right.
Can you believe that?
Like all because of a tomato or whatever. Cooking is one of my passions. For fun, I do really silly things. So sometimes I'll like dress up in a costume and just like go up to the kids' rooms and be like, let's organize your closet. And they're like, okay, mom's being weird again. Um, but I like to do those things or baking cakes randomly during the week.
Yeah.
Um,
I call it procrastinate.
Ooh, I like
I
that.
I do a lot of that.
Trademark it.
Yeah.
Trademark
I will go
it.
and bake because I should be doing something else.
Yeah. I do that with meal prep. Let's see what else. Paul and I have this doesn't sound fun, but it's really fun for us. We have these really deep, rich conversations about
Oh,
fantasy worlds, the movies and shows that we watch, what they did well, crafting lines. We do a lot of going back and forth where we'll print out monologues from
oh
random
wow.
movies and assign them to each other and then recite them to each other and give each other feedback. He's like the best friend I wanted my whole life, the person who's
Oh
always
my
down to like
gosh.
do those things. And then I always try to keep our book writing, our fantasy book writing process exciting. So I'll be like, okay, let's each, here's your stack of Post-its, here's my stack of Post-its, and let's each come up with crazy ideas for things that we would never would have seen coming. And we'll each write a few, we put them in a pile and we'll pick one. And then let's write it together. And to me, that is just so fun.
That's
Um,
amazing. I love that.
yeah,
That's so creative
yeah.
and that you're doing it together. Yeah, that's so
Mhm.
cool. I love it.
I'm a huge fan of that. So those are a few things. I do like sewing. I love thrifting more than anything. So like just this weekend, oh, you'll get a load of this. Okay, so I was looking at we need this little love seat for this one corner of our house. And I already know that kids and pets trash love seats, and we wanted a tan one. So I was like, it's gonna get ruined. So I don't want to spend a lot. And we were looking on Facebook Marketplace for like 60 to $100. That's a lot for something that will have marker stains on it for sure. And we went into a Goodwill and we found one for $11. And I was like,
What?
this is a find of a lifetime.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
perfect. I can see
Yeah.
how you would have fun doing that. That's
It's
good.
so fun. And I'll also buy like oversized like men's t-shirts and dress shirts and be like, let's turn this into a cute little two-piece outfit. So I do a lot
Oh,
of sewing for the kids' outfits and clothes and costumes for theater. And that is so enjoyable to me. I never want to monetize it in any way.
I swear we are. Like I'm much older than you. There are some things I don't relate to, but however, um,
Mhm.
I sew. I've had horses. I
Mhm.
read fantasy fiction. I have a book idea for that and a few other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. We're just like
Jeez,
so
look
many
at us.
things that we are.
I
So many. I have to
know.
get you to run more.
If I had one flaw,
If,
it
no,
is.
no, one.
No, I'm
That's
just
right.
kidding.
And I don't think I can get my husband to read parts of fantasy fiction, like to act it out or whatever with me so much. I probably could
Yeah.
if I could. Yeah, probably could convince him, but I had never even thought of it.
It's pretty nerdy, but it's really fun. And you literally assign each other different monologues and you try to do things outside of what you've seen that person normally do. And it is so fascinating. So last weekend I had Paul reading from Primal Fear with Edward Norton, and
What?
he really wanted to see me in a straight, serious role because he's like, you don't often do serious and straight and like the normal character. I want to see you do that. And I was like, this one's so hard. So it was a good time.
I love it. I love that you're able to express these times of, just they're just pure joy play times,
Yeah.
and because that just the thing we say I said before doesn't happen, that kind of balance, but it does give you a bit of
Yeah.
balance in your life when your life is full on with kids and work and everything
Yes.
else. So I'm glad
Yes.
to hear that, and how much joy is in your voice around that. So
Oh,
that's cool.
thanks.
I love it. Um, all right, now I always ask people how long are they going to run for? Can you imagine running not being in your life in some way, coming in and out? Because the way you've described it, running is there sometimes and takes a back seat other times. Although I think walking is just slower running. It's like I
Yeah.
do plenty of
And
walking in my life.
I walk really fast. So I walk 3 to 4 miles per hour when I
Hmm.
power walk. So it's like
Yeah,
intense. It's
yeah,
it's basically running or as close as
yeah.
running as you can get without
Mhm.
lifting up your knees. Um, I cannot imagine a life without that. I can only imagine running and strength training holding a bigger and bigger role in my life
Yeah.
as I get older. I
Hmm.
have noticed things like, skin does start to kind of crepe a little. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's happening. And anyone that I've ever known who like got really, really old and didn't lift weights or stay
Hmm.
active, you can just see it in their health and
Yeah,
quality of life. And
yeah.
that's not the life I imagine for myself. So
Mm.
fingers crossed that running comes back into play soon. I know.
Stay fit and healthy. That's really the important thing, isn't it? But
So
for
important.
the rest of your life. If you had to give other people tips along
Hmm.
these lines, like I often say, do you have running tips? But do you have like tips for being able to fit it all in? You talked
Yeah.
a little before about how to stay healthy when you've got a busy life and things like that.
Yep.
What tips would you give other people just for
Yeah.
fitness?
So a few things that really helped me is sometimes, how the beginning stage is always the hardest when you're trying to like restart or get
Hmm.
going or
Hmm.
whatever. I'll give myself like dopamine hits built in. So if there's a podcast episode I've really been wanting to listen to, or like the final chapter of a really
Yeah.
good battle in a book, I save
Hmm.
it for when I'm being active. That helps me prioritize it. Magically, everything
I
shifts, then it
really want to
happens.
listen to that.
Yes.
I do that, by
Um,
the way.
and then anytime I can multitask, that helps me so much. So if I can be power walking and just responding to
Yeah.
email or even getting my TikTok scrolling time in while
Yeah.
power walking,
Yeah.
heck yes, or
Yeah.
learning a language, those things help me a lot. And then one more that helps is when I'm really, really tired at the end of the day and I'm like, whew, I'm tired. Okay, I've been tired the last 2 weeks.
Mm.
Huh, something's not changing. I
Yeah.
gotta go change something.
Yeah.
If I'm getting sleep and I'm not getting, rejuvenated, then I'll go and just hop on the treadmill for an hour before bed. And suddenly I'm like, now I can sleep.
Mm.
I feel physically tired and
Yeah.
mentally tired. I just feel like the sleep is going to be better. So sometimes I'll be like, I've got one more in me. And I do that all the time. I've got one more in me. I've got one more hour in me. Kids are in bed. Cool. I've got one more in me. And I'll
I
just
love that.
suddenly go, babe, I'm going to go work out.
Yeah.
That
There's
helps.
interestingly on the podcast, it's come up a number of times how running, rather than making you feel more tired, yes, it does make you feel physically tired, but it actually gives you more energy, and
I've heard
how
that.
often that happens. And well, I think
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same, irrelevant of whether it's running or some other fitness, but
Yeah,
that getting fitter actually gives you more energy ultimately
it
in your
does.
life than
It,
it does take away when it
it
comes to energy.
absolutely does. And I know for me, working out actually makes me super sleepy,
Hmm.
which is interesting. I don't know if everyone feels that
Yeah.
way. I can pass right out after a workout. So that's always
Oh,
been
wow.
an ideal time for me. Yeah.
So you do it in the evening and not in the mornings like most of us do it to wake
Yeah.
up. You do it to go to sleep.
I can't lift weights in the morning. I can't
That's so
run. I
funny.
can't do anything like major cardio. I can only,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
at
love getting
night,
it out of the way in the
all
morning.
day.
Do it in the morning all the time. So that's funny. There you go. There's something we're not the same. I really like it
Yeah.
in the morning. It wakes me up.
In
Well,
fact,
yeah.
there was a time where I did like super intense, all my intense cardio in the mornings. And I would just, this is probably gross, but like 5 mornings in a row, I threw up when I was
Oh,
working out in the morning. And then I was like, I got to test something. Is it, drinking water, not
yeah.
drinking water? Is it food, not food, whatever? No, mornings are just a time that I naturally throw up if I do cardio.
Really? That's
I
so
don't know why. Isn't that weird? And the
people
doctor
who
said,
throw up when they do cardio that I know is because they just went at it really hard. Like they just
yeah,
gave it everything.
same workouts in the evening, not a problem.
Wow.
So I would just, yeah, I put down like a yoga mat that had like a plastic thing in case I threw up during my workouts. And I was like, I think I'm just going to do these at night. It
That's
was wild.
crazy.
I
Oh.
know.
And you never
Yeah.
found out why?
No,
Mm,
never. The doctor
so-
said the whole like test not having coffee, test
yeah,
not having water. They're like, your white blood cells are fine. I don't know.
that's
And some
crazy.
of those weird mysteries. And
Mm.
you
Well,
don't, I
stick
don't
to
know
the
if you've
evening.
ever. Yeah. Evenings are great. We'll stick with
All right, Rachel, it has been an absolute delight to talk with you and share you with others. I'm sure they're going to be just as excited. You've got all these other fanboys and girls out there now.
Oh,
It's going to be so cool. Is there anything about, well, fitness in general that you wanted to share that we haven't spoken about before we wrap up?
oh, about fitness.
Yeah.
Oh, this is true for business marketing,
Mhm.
fitness,
Mhm.
anything you're working on. Recognize the season that you're in.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, the season I was in is so different than the season today.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace for what you are fitting
Mhm.
in this season and recognize, okay, in the next season, it could be a little different. It could be
Yeah.
more, it could be less, etc. But give yourself grace for
Yeah.
sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Again, on the podcast, we talk about seasons all the time. It's one of my favorite sayings.
I
So there you
love that.
go. Because we all have these ebbs and flows in life, and things are not
Uh-huh.
going to stay the same. If it's crappy now, don't worry, it'll change soon.
So true. So true.
That's the way life is. Anyway, thank you so much. Don't jump off straight away, but thank you. It has been an absolute delight to chat with you. I've loved it, and we've made it even further than last time. I think before
We
you
got to
got
talk
cut off.
about running.
I know, and we talked about running, so it's even better. So,
Yes.
thank
Well,
you so
thank
much,
you.
Rachel. You take care.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks for tuning in to the Zen Run podcast. I hope today's chat left you feeling just a little more inspired to move in your way and on your terms. If you've got a running story you'd love to share, please reach out. I'm always looking for real, relatable stories that help remind us we're not alone, whether it's a big goal, a quiet win, or simply why you keep showing up. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to share it. Plus, if you're curious about the Zen Run Club, come take a look. It's a low-key space with guided runs, simple training plans, and monthly challenges to help keep your running fun, motivating, and totally stress-free. Until next time, keep running, keep breathing, and keep showing up for yourself.